when you're on the land and you're farming, your life is full, and it's almost too full. It's almost like you're almost overwhelmed all the time. So you end up doing stuff that you have to do. Not by somebody telling you what to do, but the elements or how things are growing in the field or all this. This is what directs you. It's not some human voice. There's some power tripper in your life that you call the boss, eh? And I don't like to have that relationship with people that paid workers. I want people to come and work for me that aspire to do it themselves, that want to learn. And that works well. And it's not that they don't get rewarded. I just don't like that kind of relationship because it brings you back to the union and the rules and all this as opposed to working from the heart. Right? And if people that come to work for me are not working for the heart, they're in the wrong place. Because it's the reward of going out there crawling rows in July is hard work. And if you're doing it just because you're going to get $11 an hour, it's not enough for that kind of work. But if you're doing it so you can learn to do it well and someday do it yourself, then it's worth your while doing it. When I come to Canada first, me and my sister and brother, we went to work for this Dutch family. They had a mixed garden, market garden, and they grew hay and grain, and they had chickens and cows and all this stuff. And we worked on all these different things, picking peas or strawberries or tomatoes and making hay and all this stuff. It was very interesting. And then when we moved away from that part of Ontario and we moved down closer to Toronto, and my dad, he didn't want to let us go back to that farm because it was too far away. He wanted to have his family at home, which was a mistake on his part. He should have let us go back there. It felt to me much better than home because it wasn't so dysfunctional. We went to work in a market garden closer to Toronto, and that was already being industrialized. It was like long rows of like one thing, like green onions, like a 3-ton truckload of Dutch sets would come in. We had to plant all of them, like the kids out there. So it was totally monotonous. And we didn't get to go around to the summer cottages around Georgian Bay to help the farmer deliver and sell to the summer cottages. All this was cut out. We were just robots. And that's when I began to hate farming. And I swore I would never do it in my life again. I figured that was the change, and that isn't what I'm ever going to do. So that formed really strong in me then. In 1979, I went to an old farmer in the Cusp, Christopher Spicer. He was an old Englishman, and he'd been farming over there since 1948. He'd come back from the Second World War, and he was a veteran, and he got land over there, and he was a farmer in England. And I went into his. I went to buy vegetables of him in 1979 because my girlfriend knew about it. And I walked into his farmyard on Halloween, and it was like going back 100 years. And I seen, these piles of onions and potatoes and cabbages and all this, and how he did things. And that's when I decided that this is what I was going to do. I wanted to go work for him, but he wouldn't have it. He was just so organized in his own system. But that's when I changed my mind about farming. That's when I thought, hey, I might do this someday. The hard work where you do just industrial, just like I worked in mines and logging and all that, and it's brutal hard work. It drains you. And I can go and work in the field, and it actually makes me feel stronger. I think it could be just a physical thing of being on the ground, one thing. And it's also that you're out in the weather and that you're preoccupied with other stuff rather than yourself. Like you're out, you're observing weather and conditions and all this. It takes you out of yourself. And I find that I have to get in the zone. Like if I take a day off that's probably the worst thing for me, because then I get to think. I do too much of it already.